Bears, blog, boys, you know it all, computer, analytic, geeky nerds. Michael Schneider, Tom Cavanaugh, the Bear, blog, boys, know-it-alls, doing some podcast somewhere. Nobody wants to hear you. Geeks, you pencil-pushing, skinny jean wearing geeks, you.
Coming to you live from our mom's basement, this is the Bears Blog Boys podcast. I am your co-host, Tom Cavanaugh, here with my good buddy and other co-host, Michael Snyder. I'm stoked for this one, man. It looks like we're going to get Lamar Jackson for the Ravens. So this will be a huge test for the Bears. The Bears are 6.5 point underdogs. Man, how you feeling headed into Ravens week?
I'm excited. I almost feel almost like a meathead for saying this, but I said it on the last one. I want the Bears to face the Lamar Jackson Ravens because I want this team to get battle tested, right? I give the Bears credit. They've won 4 games in a row, but let's make a statement. Let's beat the Ravens with Lamar Jackson. I think it would really put us on the map. So again, I know ultimate goal is the playoffs and you just want to stack wins any way you can. Doesn't matter who it's against, how ugly it is. I totally understand that. But you have an opportunity to put the league on notice. The Ravens are 1-5, so it's almost like do or die for them. They can only afford maybe 2 more losses on the season. Would love for the Bears to put another one on them so early. So I couldn't be more fired up about this matchup, Tom. I just want to see how this Bears team can handle an opponent like this with so much at stake.
We'll get into a lot of the underlying deeper metrics about this Ravens team because it's obviously going to be something we highlight for our preview show. But Vegas is telling you they don't really buy the Bears right now with this line, in my opinion. I think a lot of people don't really buy the Bears. I think they obviously think that they're better than they were last year. But in terms of a team that can truly make some noise in the playoffs, I don't know if anyone outside of Bears fans are really there yet. I don't know if that has anything to do with how Caleb Williams has played the last 2 weeks or just, kind of some of the inconsistencies we've seen from this team. Watching the Vikings last night, Snyder, I was just so upset that the Bears lost that game in week 1 because that is not a very good Vikings team. And, I think the Bears still have some of those issues that will, let them down at times. But if you win a game like this against, a good Ravens team that maybe wasn't performing to the peak that we're used to with the Ravens on the road in a must-win game for them. This is basically a playoff game from here on out for them. Each game will be a playoff game. If you can win a game like that on the road, that's exactly what you said, a way to buy credibility and really put yourself on the map and establish yourself as a true, legitimate, dangerous team. And I don't know if anyone's quite there yet with the Bears, but this is the pathway to kind of, I think, to let teams know that you're for real.
Exactly. It is totally could be a statement game and one of those okay, hey, you beat the Saints, you beat the Raiders, and I know the Commanders game, a lot of people say was kind of maybe not handed to us, but, got kind of lucky over the Jaden Daniels turnover. This is the one where, again, I could really, really earn the respect of everyone across the league and look at the Bears as a threat.
Yeah, 100%. And it's not a given that Lamar is going to play. He's been limited the past 2 days. There's a chance I feel like they might just want to hold him back for 1 more week so he fully recovers. But I think he's going to play. Like we already had mentioned, this is a must-win for them. And if he has any shot at playing, I think he's going to just kind of force his way out there because of how important this game is for them. But why don't we get into the preview? Why don't we start with the Ravens defense, which this was, a pretty good unit last year. I think they turned it around halfway through the season. I thought they really struggled in the beginning half of the season last year. They kind of turned it around, figured some things out that second half of the year. But Snyder, this has been one of the worst defenses in the NFL this year. I don't know if it's been because of injuries. There has been a lot of crucial injuries, but I think just overall, this group has really underperformed. And And I'm sure that they're going to make some adjustments after the bye week that they just had to where they're not going to be put in the situations that they have been. But overall, it's really hard to point to what this defense has done well in these last. I mean, if you watch the Texans game on Monday, this is what I was thinking. I watched the Texans game on Monday, some of it, and I was like, oh my God, this Texans offense is horrible. Like, this is like one of the worst, hardest watches in the NFL. And they dropped like 40 points on this Ravens team. So if that goes to show you anything, this has been a really struggling group.
Yeah, and again, Bears offense has been, not the struggling part. They've been consistently putting up, it looks like 25 plus. I know they only rank in the top half, but for Bears standards, they're like, that's really well. And you see the Bears have been putting out really good offense, and there's still just more to get unlocked. So this could be a game where they really just keep it rolling against this type of defense.
100%. And I think this is a game we really need to see Caleb Williams and the passing offense get right.
Right.
The fortunate part for the Bears is this Ravens team has been the worst defense in the NFL against the run. EPA per play wise, they have been literally the worst defense against the run. Inside runs specifically have given them a lot of trouble, which the Bears are an outside zone team. But you can still have success up the tackles on your outside zone scheme. So I'm sure that they're still going to want to get after the Ravens in that way. But Snyder, I'm just looking at I'm looking at a lot of the metrics in which I think that would play into the Bears' favor. And honestly, a lot of the Ravens' defenses weaknesses statistically, I think fall right in favor with what the Bears want to do. The Bears want to run the ball. The Ravens are bad against the run. The Bears want to do play action. The Ravens are bad against play action. Ben Johnson's offense attacks the middle of the field. On intermediate passes, the Ravens have the third worst defense on 10 to 19-yard passes. And then also, the Ravens are the worst defense per EPA per play when targeting the slot. Marlon Humphrey has been terrible this season. I don't know if it's because he's fallen off or he's too worried about doing glizzy tours all over the country. I don't know what that case is, but he's been absolutely brutal this year. So again, I think all those things play into the Bears' favor. This is going to be a game where they're going to want to get the run game going and play action off of that. And I'm hopeful that the Bears can take advantage and their passing offense can get on the right track against a pretty weak defense for what the Bears want to do.
Yeah, and they match up on paper to do those things well, right? Here last week, Tom, I think both Monangai and Swift averaged about over 6 yards per carry, something of that nature. Again, you match up with a team that's really bad against the run defense. If you can get a continuation like that, the Bears are absolutely in this game. What was it, Tom? 220 rushing yards last week?
Yep.
If you can, again, any team that rushes over 200 yards should always win that game 9 times out of 10. It's funny enough, the Raiders did rush that similar number against the Bears, and the Bears found a way to win. It's just kind of a funny coincidence there. But again, 9 times out of 10, you are winning that game when you're just running it down their throats. Because what it opens up in the play action, combine that with our skill guys, Burden, DJ Moore, Adunze, what they could do after the catch. You could really build off that play action. You can really, really make this offense a real problem for this Ravens defense.
Yeah, I totally agree. I thought it was interesting too, Snyder, to kind of build upon the play action, the run game. The Ravens have also been their defense has struggled a lot in base personnel. I know that's probably has to do a lot of with Roquan being out. Nnamdi Adebwike he's going to miss the year. So I think that was another advantage. I know Cole Kmet probably won't play, but if you can get, I don't know why I'm blanking on the third tight end right now, Ben Johnson's guy. If you can get him and Loveland out on the field at the same time, I think again that's another advantage the Bears will tap into because they're already going to be in a run heavy approach, I would assume, and then the play action game fits perfectly in that kind of game plan where you're using heavier bodies, you're trying to run the ball more. And you can get matchups with guys like Rome, guys like Loveland, guys like DJ Moore with those heavier bodies for the defense on the field. Snyder, I think that the Ravens were not prepared, and obviously no one would be prepared when you lose one of your best players. But Nnamdi Adebwike was so important to what this defense does against the run with all of their blitzes. And I think they're really feeling the effects without him because They don't really have a guy who can win one-on-ones. He was their guy for them in the passing game. And then everything he was able to do with allowing them to blitz, hold blockers, occupy blockers, just kind of draw some extra attention. They don't have that guy. So I think they're on top of them just being statistically bad against the run. They're a really light front. Like Kyle Van Noy, Mike Green. I know I really like Mike Green coming out of the draft, but he's not a run defender.
Right.
So they're just really light up front. And I think this is just more reasons where the Bears are just going to continue to do what they've done after the bye week, and that's run the ball down their throat.
Yeah, they also traded Odafe Oweh, who I thought at least had a high floor as a run defender. I don't know too much about his game, but he's out the picture as well. So I kind of wanted to go a little bit off script. I know we'll talk about a revenge game for Roquan Smith, but I wanted to just maybe revisit that trade and see what we think about it thus far as we get in that matchup. So it would have been we got a round 2 pick that ended up being Gervon Dexter, and I think a round 5 pick that ended up being Noah Sewell. And in turn, the Ravens got Roquan Smith, paid him a ton of money. And then the Bears that upcoming off season used that money to pay Tremaine Edmonds. So I always kind of tie that all in together. I just want your thoughts on it. It's been about 3 or 4 seasons since then.
Yeah, I think it looked really bad at first because Roquan had like an all-pro season, but I think the moment Mike Macdonald left that building, I think Roquan's play has dipped severely. I don't know, whatever that marriage was between the two of Mike Macdonald and Roquan Smith. I mean, he had Roquan playing his best ball, but I always was Roquan was this very good talent athletically. I think he had his moments in Chicago for sure, but I think he was always more of an up and down player that fans wanted to admit. And I think we've seen that exactly play out in Baltimore. I mean, there's no doubt about it that stretch of like that, I think the end of that 2022 season into that 2023 season, he was lights out. He was awesome, but he was really struggling before he got hurt this year. And then last year was really bad as well. So not really bad, but it was not good. It was not the player that they paid and traded for sure. So I never thought he was like, I always thought Roquan was like a tier below like the Fred Warner tier and like the Bobby Wagner in his prime tier. So all in all, I think it was still a decent trade. I don't ever think that he would have been playing to the peak level he was at, Snyder, with the Bears, and given how their defense was rebuilding. I mean, their defense was terrible with their defensive line. And honestly, like just that 2022 season, that 2023 season, there's no way you could tell me that Roquan would be playing at the same level. I mean, when he was on the Bears with Eberflus in that first half of the year, he was really bad because he was put in a situation to fail. So I just think it was kind of you could argue the trade worked out for the Ravens, or you could argue against it. Like, I think there's both perspectives, but ultimately I think it was a fair trade.
Yeah, and that's always been my thoughts about it. That's why I kind of wanted to rehash it a little bit. Like at the time, I liked it because I'm like, okay, like we're clearing the books. Like we don't have to pay inside linebacker a lot of money. I like how it ended up being Gervon Dexter and Noah Sewell, more so Gervon Dexter being the prize. The only thing that maybe I hate that was tied to it is that we ended up paying Tremaine Edmonds all that money. Maybe what came out a little bit less, but it was still a big portion of the cap to inside linebacker. And it was, as much as up and down Roquan has been, I always say he's a hell of a lot better player than Tremaine Edmonds.
For sure.
And I just hated that at the time that Ryan Poles and Eberflus had a press conference about it and kind of said they value the length more than the individual talent of Roquan Smith. And I thought that was such a big red flag. And it's kind of spoken to a lot of how Ryan Poles kind of built this team just specific to fitting his guy's scheme versus, it's clear as day that Roquan was the better player. I don't know there's more layers to that when you talk about cap space, getting younger, doing the trade. I understand, but just taking that at face value that you valued one player over the other because of length and traits versus, actual eye test, feel for the game ball player. That is one thing that always rubbed me the wrong way about that trade that still has lingering effects to how this roster is built. That's why I just kind of wanted to go back to that. But all in all, I do think the trade has worked out pretty well for both teams thus far.
Yeah, I think most fans think like the bet like that was what I remember that was like one of the ones Ryan Poles got trolled for. And I was like, there's a lot more to troll Ryan Poles about than that trade.
For sure.
I think it just like it lacks context when people talk about it now. Like, oh, you traded an all-pro in 2023 for a second-round pick. Well, it's like, no, he wasn't playing like that with the Bears because the Bears defense was terrible, right? Linebacker is kind of one of those positions that unless you're like the elite of the elite. And really, I only think Fred Warner is that kind of player. Like, I don't know if anyone, it's a hard position to consistently be good at because there's a lot of variables that go into it. I think it's the hardest coverage role in football. The fact like all the field that you have to cover as a linebacker who also has to be good against the run. I just think it's really hard to be good at consistently. So I just like don't think you were ever going to get that season out of Roquan with where the Bears are at now. Maybe you would have gotten it, but again, I think it was very more such. He went into the perfect defense for his skill set with one of the best defensive minds in the NFL, and then without him, he's not been the same player. So that's kind of where I'm at with the trade. But yes, Snyder, I did not like the Tremaine Edmunds element of it either. I think you just paid a similar price for a downgrade. But I guess the only silver lining to that, Snyder, is they also were able to get TJ Edwards, who's been awesome as well.
Yeah, no, most definitely. It was such a huge topic for the Bears. There, I just want to kind of just rehash that, kind of go back in it. But all in all, like again, I am not mad at how that turned out at all. I think it worked out fine.
I think, ironically, Roquan is someone you want to get after in the run game. And again, that kind of speaks to what I was talking about with Nnamdi Adebawike not being healthy. They don't have the guys to keep Roquan clean. And that's always been a problem with Roquan is if you can get up to him and block him up, he's not going to get off blocks and stuff like that. Like he's not going to shed guys. He's just too small, right? Like he's definitely athleticism, beat you with quickness. And that's hopefully what I think the Bears can do, really play towards his weaknesses and just their linebackers in general. They're a light group up front all across the board. So ironically, I think that he'll be one of the guys you want to go after in the run game. Now against the pass, I think he's still a pretty good coverage linebacker. But again, if the Ravens can't get after the Bears with their pass rush, I think that again, this is just going to be more reasons that the Bears have a lot of advantages to be a 6.5 point underdog in this game on offense.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Just in general, Snyder, like, is there anyone on this defense that really scares you? Like, or do you think the Bears have to kind of game plan around? I mean, Kyle Hamilton is always a guy, you got to keep in mind like where he's at on the field. How often are they going to blitz him? And just, I don't know. He's probably the one I worry about the most, but like, there isn't like a matchup I'm really too afraid of on offense. I just really think it's just about Caleb and this passing offense kind of playing with cohesion. Like that's what I want to see in this. And this is not a defense that I think will cause them a lot of issues. Like I think they've ran the second most here. I'm going to double check that. They ran the second most cover 1 in the NFL so far. And they ran a lot of cover 3 too. So like, this is like a team that plays a lot of like middle of the field close coverage. And again, I think that all these things play into the Bears' hands. Like, how do you beat those types of coverages? Play action, like runaway routes. That's exactly what the Bears want to do anyway. So I'm really hopeful that the Bears can figure it out. And maybe I'll start to have some concerns if they can't.
Yeah, it's almost weird, Tom. You look at like their back seven on paper, it looks like a talented group. I mean, there is a lot of round 1 investments. Kyle Hamilton, Malachi Starks, round 1, right, Tom?
He was their first round pick this year. Yep.
Nate Wiggins, round 1 as well. And then I know Marlon Humphrey is actually the second to last graded cornerback right now, 111 out of 112. And then actually they signed Awuzie, who's actually been pretty good thus far, just off of grade. But it's like a talented secondary on paper. But the thing is, their defensive line without Justin Adebawike is really bad. So I just want to say, like, when that the defensive line that they're putting out there is just really detrimental to this back seven. Like that, it's got to be it. Again, unless Marlon Humphrey, and I know Malachi Starks hasn't been that great or anything, and Mike Green doesn't really give you anything against the run, and I understand why that makes it so hard, maybe for their back seven to get in tune. But yeah, there's not really a matchup, Tom, that I'm ultimately terrified. I mean, Kyle Hamilton, again, all pro type of guy. You are gonna have to maybe keep the ball away from him, but other than that, yeah, I there's not one on this defense that scares me.
Yeah, I mean, each time I look up a new stat, it's just like more. I am more confident that the Bears will be able to hang in this game. And honestly, Snyder, I hope that for all of the things I've talked about with them getting their passing offense right, I mean, I think this could just be a game where you run the ball a lot and keep the Ravens offense off the field. Like that's
Exactly.
might be the game plan. The Bears defense, to their credit, has played a lot better. So maybe I'm not as nervous as I would have been before the bye week heading into this matchup. But this is another stat. Against motion, the Ravens are the second worst defense in the NFL. Who runs a lot of motion? The Bears run a lot of motion.
Yep.
Like they run a lot of motion that means stuff, right? It's not just like running motion to run motion. It's like, no, they actually know what they're doing. Ben Johnson actually knows what he's doing, and he'll use it to the Bears' advantage. So, there's just like not many statistics that worry me, and just like elements of this defense that worry me to where the Bears' offense can't have a successful day running the ball, passing the ball. It's just with passing the ball, I think it's really going to be of them just getting out of their own way across the board. Snyder, in terms of the Bears defense, I think they've played a lot better the past 2 weeks against the run, against the pass. It's hard to kind of gauge who this Ravens offense is because Lamar's only played like 3.5 games.
Yeah.
And there are metrics with Lamar in those games have actually been pretty good. It's not like they've been a bad offense. I think really their defense has failed them. They had a rough game against the Chiefs when he was out there, but other than that, their offense has still been really good. I think what it comes down to is the Ravens want to kind of do the same thing. They want to run the ball, and they want to take play action deep shots. Like that's what they want to do. Play action, not deep necessarily. They want to take chunk plays, right? Chunk plays to the passing game. This is not like a quick passing game based offense. Like they want to take those intermediate shots. They want to take those deep shots. I think the Bears are going to come out with a similar game plan that we saw against the Commanders, and they're going to try to pressure Lamar with 5 and bring extra bodies. And I think that's probably the right way to approach it. I think they really need to focus this week with like guys like Kyler Gordon, Brisker at really getting Lamar down, because if you let him extend plays against the blitz, that's when he's going to really hurt you. I'm looking at I looked through his games against in the first 3 weeks, and against the blitz, he had one of the highest times to throws, but that's why it's so hard against him, because he can still have a high time to throw against the blitz. And he's doing that because he's able to extend plays, make free rushers miss. Like that's something that you can't allow him to do, because if he's able to do that and you're giving up numbers and coverage, he'll really make you pay for it.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson is such a damn good quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have always gave him credit for how smart and efficient he is, especially like in the red zone. He's a very high IQ quarterback, and it's just that rare combination of he's very efficient, very high IQ, but he just makes you pay in ways that only Lamar Jackson can make you pay. The way that he can just extend plays in the blitz, find a guy. I really thought like even having DeAndre Hopkins in like that, he's like that deep threat role, has actually been pretty good for him as well. So yeah, he terrifies me as a quarterback, and it's going to be the ultimate challenge for the Bears. But I always thought like, throughout his career, it gets very, very overlooked. I'm not saying he's not like the best elite thrower of a football. Like he's not ripping it into tight coverages, like a Stafford or like a Mahomes type of guy. But he is one of the smartest quarterbacks in the NFL. I think that's one of the things that's always gotten overlooked with him.
Yeah, he's one of the best middle of the field passers. That again, like that, it's a hard skill, and that's a really important one for quarterbacks. And he doesn't get a lot of credit for that, because when you think of Lamar Jackson, you're thinking of like the highlight spin move type plays,
Yeah.
right? Or the deep balls. Yeah, so that's definitely something the Bears are going to have to worry about. I think that second level will also be challenged. Like the Bears are going to try to challenge the Ravens. I think the same will apply with the Bears. I think if they can't stop the run, it'll be a long day for this Bears defense, because then I think that opens up a lot for what the Ravens want to do. So I would still like, my big concerns are just like not allowing the big play. And if that comes to allowing some yards on the ground, then I guess that's fine. Not fine, but I guess that's the route I would go. But if they're able to run the ball like they were against the Bills, or, even against the Rams, I thought they ran the ball pretty well. It could be a long day for this Bears defense. Our guy Shot a Cub said, "Why are we up this early on a Friday?" Because it's Bears Ravens week, right? It's important. You guys can catch us every Friday morning, every Tuesday morning, going live. Yeah, go Bears, absolutely. But yeah, I think that the Bears defense is a lot more prepared this time around, Snyder, going up against the Ravens than I felt about them earlier in the season. If this was the same, they give the same effort and the same output that they did earlier in the season, then I could see why the Ravens are favored by 6.5 points.
See, that's why like it's really an ultimate test, right? So early on in the season, when we're giving up, all these rushing yards, Jordan Mason, Ashton Gente, Gibbs, we didn't have TJ Edwards and Kyler Gordon, right? Now, we've seen how well their impact was meant to us against the Saints. But again, that Spencer Rattler, Kamara really hasn't gotten anything going. Now we have those guys back. Now you're going against Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. So it's like really an ultimate test to see how impactful they are. We know they're impactful, but here now, show it to everyone going against Lamar, Derrick Henry. If they can come out a way where we're not getting run down our throats, that could be that big test. And hopefully we feel their presence against a more premier matchup than we just went last week against the Saints.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a huge test for this Bears defense, and I think they've had some a good test against the Commanders and really shut that down, really shut that run game down. And I think you'll see similar elements. I loved how in that Commanders game they always accounted for Jaden Daniels. They're like, we're not going to let you just like make us wrong. And whenever they try to do a lot of the read option stuff, it was mostly their defensive ends were always staying home, accounting for Jaden Daniels. They passed off the gaps correctly. I think we'll see very similar elements. I don't know how much Lamar is going to run in this one. He hasn't really ran a whole lot this season. Like he's ran less than he has in the past, but coming off that hamstring injury, I just don't think that's going to be like a focal point of this game plan. I think that they're really going to want to get Derrick Henry going. And ultimately, like I still think you need to account for Lamar Jackson's legs. I think the ways in which you need to account for his legs is just you cannot let him extend plays on a routine basis, because that's when we know he's really, really dangerous, and that's when you can get those big plays. Outside of Lamar, outside of Derrick Henry, Snyder, who on offense just scares you for the Ravens? I think there's an obvious answer, but like, who do you think the Bears need to prepare for coverage-wise?
Yeah, it's obviously Zay Flowers. I think Zay Flowers is a damn good wide receiver, but I also think like when you give Zay Flowers open space, he's really good after the catch, right? So I think that's one of those things you're gonna have to account for. But outside of that, Tom, not much scares me. I do like how they added DeAndre Hopkins. He's kind of just been that like 50-50 ball merchant. And still to this day, with when you're throwing a contested catch towards DeAndre Hopkins, it's more so like 80-20 in DeAndre Hopkins' favor. The guy's ball skills and his hands are so strong. So I think that is like a sneaky element that's definitely helped this Ravens team. So I hope we end up on the better end of that. I do like how physical our corners are through the catch point there. So I think we do favored, but yeah, I think Zay Flowers, you're gonna have to stop him. But now, I know we talked about Lamar. I just think we have to be very, very disciplined against Lamar, right?
Yes.
Like I understand like wanting to blitz, but you have to go in maybe a little bit more. You have to like almost contain it a little more. You can't be, a little bit cross foot or anything like that and have him make you pay, because when he extends plays in the pocket, he's going to find someone, right? Or he's going to take off and run for a big game. So if you are going to send the house, if you are going to send pressure, you almost like want to prioritize like the pressure and keeping him off balance rather than going for like an aggressive tackle and having him make you pay. It's almost weird to say, but you almost have to play it that way.
Yeah, you definitely need to be a little bit more cautious. I don't think we're going to see a game plan where the Bears are like zero blitzing every down, like right. Like I don't think we're going to see a super aggressive. I think it's going to be more in the vein of just like zone pressures, kind of just being more disguising a lot of things and bringing more unconventional rushers. Kind of what we've seen so far from what the Bears wanted to be against. I think the Commanders is a really good blueprint because it's similar offenses, right? Like they're similar quarterbacks, similar styles. Like I just don't think the Bears, I know the Ravens offensive line has not played well, but again, like I just don't think that this Bears defensive line is the type of group that can take over a game. I think that the Bears are still going to need to bring extra bodies and kind of trick their protections. And if they can do that while still kind of keeping a cap on the Ravens offense coverage wise, I think that's the best game plan. I think we've seen Spags give this Ravens offense fits doing very similar things. Yep. I mean, yes, the Chiefs have Chris Jones and the Bears do not have their own Chris Jones. But I think that the Chiefs get pressure on the Ravens in very similar ways of they're trying to get free rushers at Lamar. They're trying to make him hold on to that ball for the extra split second so they can get home. It's just really whether or not this Bears group can finish. And I know Kyler Gordon specifically, who I think is going to blitz a lot in this game. I know he'll probably match up with Zay Flowers quite a bit, but I think that they're going to try to blitz him a lot. He really needs to finish those tackles. I know sometimes he misses them in the backfield. This is not a game you can do that. Like you said, Senator, he'll make you pay. And I just think the Bears really need to focus on being disciplined and finishing plays. And it also could be an issue that Tyreek Stevenson has not practiced in the past 2 days. So his availability, that could really hurt this team if, he can't go, because I feel like that maybe might make you hesitate and how aggressive you can be. And I think this is a team in which you need to be more aggressive than just sitting back and playing soft zones. If that's what you want to do, I think the Ravens will pick you apart.
Most definitely. Yeah. We're going to need Tyreek Stevenson. I hope he could muscle through. And I shout out to my guy, Tyreek Stevenson. I was on him. I think if you go to our offseason fund, I think I mentioned him a lot, kind of just being that guy who should bounce back. And I think he's been playing really well this far. Again, so very happy with his play. And again, hopefully he is back.
Yeah, I really hope he is back as well. I don't know who would fill in for him. That's another question, because the Bears are already on their CB4 already with Jalen Johnson being out. I think Josh Blackwell came in last game. And again, that would be, I'm not saying Josh Blackwell's a bad player, but that makes your defense a lot less scary when you're missing a guy like Tyreek Stevenson, who has been as good as he's been after the bye week. And that goes to say too, Snyder, like I don't think there's the Ravens, unless they want to put Zay Flowers out wide a bunch. Rashad Bateman, DeAndre Hopkins, like, do they scare me a ton? Not really. I really think that stopping this offense goes through stop Lamar first, then Derrick Henry in the run game, and then worry about Zay Flowers. I think that's how I prioritize it. I'd let the other guys try to beat me.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Damn, Tommy, it's kind of frustrating how like this cornerback room. This is like one of the things I don't blame Ryan Poles for, because I loved this group going into this season. The opportunity that maybe Terrell Smith or Zach Frazier would have had this season, it's so devastating that they went out with year-long injuries, because they both would have had a lot of opportunity here. So that's just one of those things that's frustrating. No, nothing you can do about it, but yeah, it kind of is frustrating how this cornerback room, I thought it was really built in an ideal way. I thought it was so deep, but it just goes to show you how devastating, injuries like that could really be to a team here, especially if we have Tyreek Stevenson out this game as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty nervous about if they're on CB5. And I think those were guys you felt good about his depth. And, I don't know much about Zay Frazier, but definitely Terrell Smith for sure. Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that he would have been really useful if Tyreek Stevenson can't go. But yeah, I mean, the Bears will just have to adjust and next guy up mentality. We'll see if that's what it comes to. If he logs in a practice today, Tyreek Stevenson, I'll feel a lot better about him playing. I can't remember if I remember he got hurt last game, but I can't remember if he came back in or not. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see. We'll just monitor his status. All right, Sandra, why don't we get to our final predictions though? So like we mentioned, the Bears are plus 6.5 in this game. So Vegas is really favoring the Ravens here. Most of the money is on the Ravens. I think that's kind of surprising given the Bears have the better record. I mean, I feel like just like odds wise, it might be a little smart to play some money on the Bears. But do you think the Bears can unseat Lamar Jackson and ruin the Ravens' playoff hopes in this game?
I think it was, I don't know if it was Brad Biggs or the Bears blog. One of them tweeted that this has got to be the biggest opening line favoring a 1-6 team versus a 4-2 team probably ever. And I totally believe that there. Now, my heart wants to tell me Bears, man. Wants to tell me Bears. There's a lot of good matchups. I'm a believer in the offense and Ben against this Ravens defense in particular. Man, it's just really hard to bet against this Ravens team coming off the bye with Lamar Jackson. And it's a team that for so long with the head coach had been battle tested in these huge games. Have seen moments like this where, hey, season's on the line. We got to pull every bag out of the trip or every trick out of the bag. So it's very hard for me to see a way where the Bears come out of this. But it's tough, man. I do love our matchup. I'm a believer in Ben Johnson. I am a believer in our run game. I'm a believer in our defense stepping up. Man, I think it's going to be a close game. I just think the Ravens, given their experience and everything, find a way to win this game. I just think right now it's a little bit early with the Bears. They get gifts and they don't make the most of it, right? And I think this is the game where it's going to get – that part is going to get a little bit exposed, right? I don't think you win this game with Caleb throwing, around 100 yards or, playing how he's played. I think if the Bears do win, you're going to have to see like a passing attack like we've seen against the Lions combined with the running attack. You can't have those, 1st and 10 penalties. You can't, take a sack and, get out of field goal range. And, you can't have those snap mishandlings. Like, this is not the team that you can get away with. And I do think if that's not cleaned up, the Ravens are going to expose that. So my gut is telling me it's going to be the Ravens. And I think it's going to be a close game, right? I think it's going to be within 7 points. But I want to say give me Ravens like 26-20.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of where my head's at as well. The Bears offense is like, I think that's a really good point. They just have to cash in. Like if you get the Ravens offense to make any mistakes, you cannot just live by field goals. Like this is not the game to do that. You have to cash in. You have to make the most of those opportunities. And look, the Bears defense has played a lot better, but what is it? They have had like 7 turnovers in the last like 2 games, something crazy like that. That's not going to sustain itself. Right. I know Ben Johnson said turnovers are earned and they're not lucky. There's some truth to that, right? Like I'm not trying to discredit what they've done. I just think going up against the better offenses, they're going to take care of the ball better. And Lamar, that's one of the best things he does. Exactly. I think the Ravens offense is going to have success in this game. It's just whether or not the Bears can hang with them. That's really what it comes down to. I don't think they're going to like blow them out like the Bears defense was experiencing earlier in the year. But like, I don't think that this Bears defense has the talent and the horses to just totally neutralize this Ravens offense. When Lamar was healthy, outside of the Chiefs, there was really no one that did that. So this Ravens offense is going to score points if Lamar is healthy. Can the Bears hang with them? I don't know if they're ready at peak form quite yet to do that, but I do think it'll be close. I think the best way the Bears can come out with a win is just be aggressive early on, really play to score points early on, and then just try to keep away with the run game, because I think there will be some adjustments with the Ravens defense. I don't think they're going to put their coverage players in as much conflict as they have. I mean, to play as much man coverage as they have had, to be as bad at it as they've had, I just don't see that being a part of the game plan coming out of the bye week. I'm thinking that's going to be a big shift for them, where they're going to play some more softer coverages. But I just think at the end of the day, like I'm not there quite yet with this Bears passing offense to pick them in this game. I'm open to being surprised. I still think that there are pathways that this passing game can get right, but this is a big game for the Ravens, probably a more meaningful game for them. And for those reasons, Snyder, I will go 27-23. I'll pick the Ravens in a tight one. So I still think they're going to cover, and you do too. So if you want to take the Bears plus 6.5, go for it. But at the end of the day, this is a hard one to pick the Bears.
Yeah, we have the same thought process here. Again, can the Bears come away and win this game? Yeah, there are a lot of roads that could lead to that. But like you said, I cannot emphasize it enough. Once you get gifted a gift, if you get gifted some good field position, whatever it is, you have to cash in, right? If you're in the red zone or you're in the goal line, like you got to cash in. You cannot settle for the field goal. You can't have, holding call or a center quarterback exchange, mishandling, and then it puts you, in, third and goal, but you're 20 yards away. Well, like you just can't have those mistakes that the Bears have had this far. And again, we've gotten away with it. I don't think you get that same luxury against this Ravens team. They're going to make you pay.
For sure. I'm just looking at the most penalties for 2025. And the Bears are one of the most penalized teams in the NFL. And that's another great point, Snyder, that they can't make those mistakes. I mean, yes, against the Commanders, I thought some of them were fluky, but they're 31st in penalties per game. And I'm looking at the Ravens right now, and they're on the total opposite end of the spectrum. They have the 8th, I guess, fewest is the best way to put it. So that can't happen in this game, right? Like if the Bears are going to win as an underdog, they have to be the more disciplined team. They have to be the more least penalized team. Will the refs allow that to happen? We'll see. But I'm just saying that the dumb procedural penalties where there's no excuse for, the dumb procedural mistakes like we've seen with Caleb messing up the snap, Caleb and Drew Dahlman messing up the snap 3 times, those cannot happen in this game. And I don't know. I don't have enough confidence to believe that those are totally out of the Bears system just yet.
Yeah, and Ben Johnson's the first one to admit it too. Like he said, like, hey, like in this operation is still not as smooth. Like we've got to clean up the penalties here. But again, giving the team credit for finding ways to win, even though it's been a little bit ugly. But again, once those get cleaned up and once Caleb gets more in a rhythm and more consistent, yeah, this offense could be one of the best in the league, and this team could reach heights. There's really no ceiling on the team, but we haven't seen that cleaned up this far. And I'm not going to say, hey, that does get cleaned up against this Ravens team, who, again, is very well battle tested, who has seen it all, especially with their back against the wall, coming off a bye with Lamar. So it's just hard to bet the Bears are thinking they're coming away, but are there paths to lead to it? There is, man. There is. So that's why, again, there's still many reasons to be optimistic.
Yeah, we still have close score predictions, right? Like it's not like we think the Bears are going to get blown out. Like I think some of the national media just like is not giving the Bears a chance at all. I don't think that'll be this type of game. I think the Ravens are just too weak on defense to really even make that happen. Like if the Bears, I think the Bears are going to be able to run the ball again. The Bears have figured things out in the run game, and the Ravens, I just don't know where the path is that they drastically improve against the run because they just don't have the bodies, they don't have the horses to really make that happen. Maybe I'll be wrong. But I think that alone will keep the Bears in this game. So it'll be a close one. I just think that the Ravens, they're the ones that are playing for more. And ultimately, like you said, Snyder, I just think they have the more experience to close this game out. So hopefully we're wrong, but that's where we're at. Snyder, is there anything that you want to add before we get out of here?
No, that's it. I think we covered it all. I think we'll be together for this game at our buddy Brian's. Again, another Brian shout out on the pod. He lives in Arlington Heights. Maybe a few years down the road, we and you are pre-gaming there and, shortly going over to a Bears game right over there. But yeah, I am fired up about it.
Yeah, that would be awesome. But yeah, we will be together. But we'll be back also to recap the game, hopefully with the Bears W. But until we meet again, y'all, keep it real. Bear down.
Bear down.